Together, we're exploring the intersection of faith, biology, and the signals that shape how we heal.
You'll hear conversations about nervous system safety,
peptides, and cellular communication,
prayer, trust, and what it means to live aligned with design.
No hype,
no pressure,
just curiosity, relationship, and truth.
Welcome to Prayer and Peptides. It takes 3 seconds to support the channel in a very real, tangible way. Comment the word of the episode, integration. It enters you to win our giveaways and signals that you're not just listening, you're participating. Before we begin, let's take a slow breath. Oh my gosh, we've already had a day and it is already showing for like first 30 seconds of this episode. Okay, we're gonna take a deep breath. We're not gonna fix anything. We're not gonna optimize anything. We're just gonna notice that we are finally here in a place that we really love to be with people that we love. So consider this. We're gonna talk about this in tonight's episode. You can feel spiritually aligned and physically exhausted at the same time. You can pray consistently, trust deeply, and show up faithfully and still feel tired. What if fatigue isn't a faith problem? What if something else is asking for your attention?
Yeah, Anna, those are some really great reflection questions. And I believe that there's this belief that many people carry. And it's this: if my faith is strong, then my energy should match, right? And if I really trust in God, then I shouldn't feel anxious. And if I'm spiritually aligned, I shouldn't feel depleted. But the body doesn't operate on spiritual performance, right? It operates on signaling, because our biology is not measured on our prayer life or our devotion. And it's not going to make this decision of how much energy it's going to give our body for us based on these things, right? You can be deeply rooted in your faith, grounded, surrendered, trusting in God, but still be under-resourced physically, because energy is not a reward for belief. Energy is the result of nutrients availability, sleep quality, hormone signaling, metabolic health, recovery capacity. And those things are physiological processes. It's not spiritual scorecards. And I think that we get it confused sometimes. And because it gets confused, a lot of people end up with these feelings of shame or guilt. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been there. I've definitely been there. If you've ever felt tension between your faith and your fatigue, tap the thumbs up button so we know we aren't alone here. All right, guys. So have you ever felt guilty for being tired?
On a daily basis? I think I feel that way almost all the time if I'm tired. We talked on other episodes about how I'm really practicing the pause. I'm also like practicing the pause in my life of understanding that I don't have to be the Energizer Bunny. I think as a mom, I am one that always thinks I have to be on the go. And I also feel guilty if I give myself rest. I have to, even when I'm resting, I feel like I have to be doing something. So if I'm sitting on the couch, I feel like I need to be working or actively doing something else. Taking the pause is really hard for me on all aspects of my life. And I think that's one reason why I'm working on that. I just got back from a vacation and it's probably the most energized I have felt after it. And I was the most intentional on giving myself relaxation. Being in the moment, I disconnected a lot from my phone and just had fun. And I came back more refreshed, and I actually don't feel guilty about that part.
Well, y'all know my daily struggle with this, and I have gotten to the place where I have to not feel guilty for not getting something done or for taking the rest. I mean, there were many, many years that I would wake up from a nap that I desperately needed just to reset in a panic attack. Like I would be short of breath. I'd be like, I got to do something. What do I need to do? So it's one of those things that rest is part of the equation. So back in my personal training days, we train one body part on one a day for 5 days, right? And then, so if you do legs on Monday, you have 7 days of rest before you train legs again. There's a reason that there is rest built into that growth. You need to have the pause and the restoration and the sleep and recovery for all of those changes to happen. Because if you just go, you're going to burn yourself out. And I've learned that the hard way so many times that now it's still something that I struggle with because I feel like I should be doing I always feel like I should be doing more, but I know in order for me to do more, I have to do less.
I love that you said that, Anna. In order to do more, I have to do less. And I think that we all probably really feel that way. We know that deep down, like sometimes we do have to rest, we have to recover, we have to recharge. But sometimes for me, and I'm just like, Amy, like what you were saying, it's really hard for me just to like stop. It's really hard. Like even when I'm laying down, like I'm on my phone and I'm like doing something or checking something. Because I think for me, I have learned over time, and I think a lot of people probably feel this way, that the more you do, the better you are doing in life. Like it's almost tied into your self-worth a little bit. So like, you guys either like one of y'all experienced like this association of energy and self-worth, like the more you do, like the better your life is or it's going to be, or you're going to be more successful, something like that?
I definitely feel a correlation of more of if all my ducks are in a row and things are organized and I'm on top of it. So it's not necessarily doing all the things all at once in an energy capacity. Like, before we go out of town, I like having the house clean. I don't want to come back to a dirty house. I want to come back to, I put fresh sheets on my bed. I know Lauren does the same. Like she is like on top. If you go stay at Lauren's house, like you got fresh sheets because she washed them that day because she's crazy. But it's having all of those ducks in a row that make me feel like I have provided structure and value. So it's not really an energy exchange of that I feel like I have to do all the things necessarily, but I do like having things in place that support the ability to rest and the ability to have that value and self-worth too, because that is a slippery slope.
Fatigue can reflect so many things. Your nervous system overload, chronic stress adaptation, incomplete recovery. I mean, if you really think about fatigue, it causes so many things, including like hormonal shifts and inflammatory signaling. The body is listening constantly, even when sometimes we don't listen. Sometimes we choose not to listen to our body. I am very guilty of that. If you can relate, totally get it. But if activation is frequent, the system adapts to conserve. Certain peptide signaling supports communication tied to energy regulation, cellular repair, nervous system tone, and it's not forcing energy, restoring instruction. When signaling improves over time, people often notice more sustainable energy, which we all love energy to be, sustained and things like that, less emotional volatility, and also greater resilience. The big thing is making sure not intensity, but capacity. Let's pause briefly. If you're listening and thinking, I need support here, we've linked tools below that align with restoring communication rather than overriding fatigue. Nothing forced, just supportive options if you're exploring.
There's a difference between spiritual strength and spiritual strain. And I feel like we all know that on a visceral level. Strength feels steady and supported. Strain feels pressured and unsure. Prayer was never meant to replace sleep or nourishment or recovery. It was meant to restore relationship. Even Jesus withdrew. He rested. He stepped away. Integration means recognizing the body isn't separate from devotion. It's a part of it. Have you ever used discipline to override exhaustion?
Yes. I've done this so many times. So for me, like I am a list girl. I love a really good list because it keeps me on track. It keeps me disciplined in the things that I need to do in my day. But also like what I do for work, I'm a hairstylist, I have appointments back to back, back to back. I have to stay on schedule. And if I get like 10 minutes behind, then that puts my next one 10 minutes behind. That puts my next one 10 minutes behind. And then I'm leaving work late. And then I start eating dinner late. And it's just, it accumulates and it messes up my whole day. And I will say that sometimes, although I try to like stay on schedule and I have a schedule and I try to create lists to keep me on track, sometimes those things in itself actually is very exhausting. And so, like, Amy, you just come back from a vacation, you were able to really relax and enjoy it. I love going on a vacation where I can do just that, where I don't have like, okay, at 7 o'clock, we're going to wake up because we're going to go have breakfast at 9:30, and then we're going to go sightseeing from 10 to 12, and then we're going to have lunch. Oh my gosh, that is not a vacation for me whatsoever at all, because it's like I'm already on this list and this schedule. And so for me, I do feel like I try to override my exhaustion. I override like how busy I am by trying to stay on track with schedules and lists. And I don't know that that's necessarily the best way, but it's just the way that I get my day done.
I think we all find ways that we also try to make it sound better than what it is, right? So I'll be like, well, I'm just a very disciplined person. No, I'm tired and I keep going. But if I say I'm disciplined, then it makes it sound better. Or I want to make sure I get it done. I go back to the times where, especially when I was the most exhausted in my life, was when Dominic, was my son with autism, was going through a lot of his medical, and I couldn't sleep because I was stressed out, or I was always worried about him. But then I had no other choice. And I think there's things like, Lauren, you were just talking about, like with your schedule at work. If you get off schedule, you have another person that's going to add to more stress because then you're backed up. And that's in so many avenues. If it's not work, it's your, home life. But I override a lot of times and then try to put a spin on it to make it sound better, when in reality, I just need to sit down and rest.
I totally feel that. And I think about even like, we're talking about health, and like working out. And there are a lot of people that are really disciplined in like daily workouts. I am not one of them, although I would love to be. I would love to do it, but sometimes my schedule just doesn't allow it. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a hairstylist full time. I travel and teach hair everywhere. So like next weekend, I'll be in Birmingham, like next Monday, all day in Birmingham. And then I also, run this peptide business. And so you get 3 jobs, and then you try to make some time to rest, and then you have family time and just other things. Like being disciplined and saying, okay, I'm going to wake up at 4:30 every single morning and do my workout before my day gets started. Now I'm taken away from my rest time. And so then it's like, is it really helpful to be as disciplined and be as regiment? Is that the word I'm looking for? Regiment? Is that the right word? But I think so. To be just so like disciplined that you start taking away from other things that really truly do matter. And it really is, to me, it's always a constant battle and a constant struggle of finding that right balance, the balance that your body needs, the balance that your family needs, the balance that your work needs. I mean, because these are all areas in our life, including like our spiritual needs, like including that. So it's just one of those things like where I feel like I'm always going to be forever on this journey of just trying to find balance.
Is there things that you do, and Anna, you also, to kind of take care through the override, like that you try to schedule to make sure you're kind of chill too?
I have a schedule, like a laundry schedule of when I wash all my soft things in my house. Like we've got Mark washes his clothes on the weekend, so I get everything done through the week. And it just is kind of part of the routine of every morning I start something and get it done. We have a routine with our dishes, like our dishes get run at night. It's like that commercial, we do it every night, So having those types of things helps, because there are days that I don't feel safe loading the dishwasher because my hands don't work and like I can't hold them, and we have heavy stoneware plates, and so graciously my husband will put them away and start the dishwasher. Or there are sometimes when I live at threshold all the time. So I have to plan out my week. We have a very busy week next week. So how am I getting through that? And that leaks over into this week. So I'm taking more of a rest day on Friday and Saturday. I have a big Sunday, and then we're into the next week and off on it, right? So it's thinking more than just in the moment or what is on the calendar for that day. I have to look at everything and how it's going to affect threshold.
I really love that you said that, because I feel like you have to have a lot of strength in order to do something like that. Like a lot of people might feel like you're sitting back and you're relaxing and you're resting, and people view that a lot of times as weakness. But I really think that that is a strength. Like, you need to have some really good inner strength to be able to sit back and have the willpower to say, this is what I need to do, or this is what my week looks like. So I'm going to plan around all these things. So I love that you're able to do that. And I also like that you said, like, you were talking about a lot, like how you partner with your week. Like, you are actively working within your week so that it doesn't put extra pressure on you. And I think that that's probably something I could probably do a better job with, like looking at my schedule, looking at my calendar, and really partnering it with it and saying, okay, this is what I have going on. This is what is going to be required of me this week. And that way I don't put so much pressure on myself to be so disciplined, and I don't have to worry about the checklists. And if I take a look and I'm like, okay, wow, I'm going to see like 14 clients tomorrow, I'm probably going to be hurting at the end of my day tomorrow. So I need to really listen to my body, and I need to like make sure I'm stretching and I'm drinking all my water and all my things. So give me some examples for you guys. Like, how do you partner with your week where you're not putting so much pressure, or even just your day where you're not putting so much pressure on yourself?
The one thing that my husband and I started to do a couple years ago, and it really has helped a lot, was because we're juggling our schedule plus our kids' schedules and things like that. We almost do, and it's not like a planned, like, hey, let's sit down and chat it out. But like every Sunday, he will say, what's the plan for the week? And I literally pull out my phone and look at my calendar, and I'll be like, I have this appointment. Okay, we have, special needs bowling on Thursday night. I go through everything, and I need you to pick up, Dominic on this night. Oh, and the weekend, we have nothing this weekend. And whenever it's one of those weekends, we're like, oh, it sounds beautiful. And we're like, sure, something's going to blow up. But that small thing of communicating, it also like previews the week for us both, that, hey, she's got a light week, or hey, she's got a big week, and vice versa for him. So then we can also give grace, but it's also taking a little bit of the edge off because we already are previewing what's going to happen. So that's something that's helped my husband and I, and we literally have just started it like last 3 or 4 years, but it's made a significant difference.
Yeah, having that kind of filter of having a household board meeting on a Sunday night to look at the week ahead, of knowing what's coming up. And this is really important with small kids when they are you're having to take them all of the places. Now, you have to take Dominic. Vincent is on his own now, but there was a point in time where you had to take both of them everywhere they needed to go, right? So having multiple calendars and reminders and all of the things, and then running the rest of the choices through that filter. And that's what I do. And now we don't have such a busy social life in that way where I've got multiple people in our household. It's just my husband and I. But it allows me to say yes or no very easily. I do have it. Or no, I want to go do this thing on Thursday night. We have married life on Thursday night. So Wednesday night, I'm not doing anything. I'm staying home, I'm resting, I'm relaxing, doing things so I can do Thursday night, right? So it helps to put it in perspective, and all of the people that are close to me understand if I say no or if I can't do it. No one has ever said, oh, well, you're such a loser. Like, come out with this, like, come do the thing. No, they understand. And they also know if they tell me enough ahead of time, I can make it happen. I mean, Lauren and I went to see one of our best friends do a comedy show, like do stand-up. And that was a late night. That was driving in the dark. I don't like to drive in the dark. Like, so there's all of these things that I gotta filter in. So 2 days before that event, I eased into my calendar, right? I looked at my schedule and they were easier days. And then the next day after that, I gave myself time to sleep in. So I will move clients and that kind of thing. So it's really just looking at the week as a filter to say, where are my boundaries? And I'm going to stick to those boundaries. So, and I think it's great that you both do that as well.
Yeah, I think that without boundaries, sometimes we can get really tired. And then when we get tired, we tend to push harder. Like, I know I do. Like, if I get really tired and I'm like, oh my gosh, I still have so much to do this week. I just I don't know where it comes from. I just go really hard in the paint. That's what my husband always says, go hard in the paint. I just really push. And I don't know, that could be like creating more structure and being more disciplined. It could be like giving more effort into something. It could be having more control in a certain area, but truly like that type of control really tightens my system. I think it probably tightens most people's systems, and it kind of like makes us tense, like when we're really taking control of something. But like when you really just trust and you take like a really good big deep breath and maybe you say a prayer, it does soften our bodies. It softens our systems. And so we're not forcing vitality at that point. We're actually creating conditions to have true restoration. That's where it's at. I want to be in that true restoration. If this conversation is shifting how you think about energy and faith, subscribe and stay with us.
This week, instead of asking, how do I push through? Instead, why don't you just ask something more around the lines of, what signal am I ignoring? We all ignore signals, and we need to be more aware. We need to notice things like, am I hungry? Am I having too much going on? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to check my list or my schedule? Do I have brain fog? Do I have muscle tension? What signals am I hearing from my body that I may not be listening to? What you notice, become prayer. No fixing, just listening.
Prayer is a two-way messenger, and peptides also act as messengers too. So we choose the outcome that we want, and we put those messengers in to send the messages. So when signaling is tied to energy and recovery, it's supported consistently. And people often report more stable energy throughout all of these things that we've talked about today, and improved recovery, greater resilience. I am like a queen at building resilience just because I don't give up. It's hard and it sucks, but that's how we build that strength. And not because they force vitality on us, it's because communication has improved. So have you ever had that thought or that conversation all in your brain instead of having it with the person that you need to have it with, and the conversation you have in your head goes perfectly to your side, but it's not even the conversation that you would have with the other person? Let's have better communication, right? So it's good to have support for life when it inevitably lifes full force, really hard, all in the paint. Resources are in the show notes if you're exploring what we're using on a daily basis. Also, don't forget to comment the word of the episode, integration. We generally appreciate the conversation. So any other questions that you have, we'd love to talk about it. And we'll continue to build this together next week. And don't forget to see us over on Instagram, where we'll continue this conversation.
If something in today's conversation stirred you, send it to the person who came to mind. That's how this message moves, person to person, and we can't do it without you. If you want to stay connected, go ahead and subscribe, like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. All the resources and goodies are linked in the show notes, and we'd love to continue the conversation with you over on Instagram. Until next time, stay prayerful, stay curious, and keep listening to the signals. The content shared on Prayer and Peptides podcast is for educational, informational, and inspirational purposes only. This podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, nor is it a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Discussions around peptides, nervous system regulation, stress, sleep, hydration, and wellness are presented as general educational concepts and reflections on the body's design, not as medical recommendations. Always seek the advice of your physician, a licensed healthcare provider, or qualified medical professional regarding any medical condition, symptoms, medication, supplements, or health discussions. Never disregard or delay seeking professional medical advice because of something you heard on this podcast. The host and guests of Prayer and Peptides are not acting as medical providers. Any personal experiences or stories shared are anecdotal and not intended to imply guaranteed outcomes. Spiritual reflections, prayer, and scripture-informed insights are offered as relational and supportive practices, not as replacements for medical or mental health care. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that Prayer and Peptides assumes no liability for actions taken based on the information presented.